So we're here at what we call the Sloth Wellness Centre. It's actually a rescue center. We started this, well, actually I started rescuing these animals 12 years ago. And my very first rescue was before I even thought of starting this. I was driving with a friend from the airport, and in the back mirror, in the rear mirror, I saw like something like that. And I shouted to my friend, I said, "Stop!" And I ran on the road towards a bus, because a bus was coming on. And I ran, and there was a sloth going to cross the road.
Oh, dear.
And so I picked it up, and the bus chauffeur probably thought I was crazy because I was running in the middle of the road and not on the side. But that was so to make sure that he was going to slow down. And that was the first animal actually I ever picked up. Two years after that, I received a baby sloth, and that's when the whole adventure started. Because with that animal, I was talking to the vet all the time from the Animal Protection Society, and every time when I went, because I didn't know anything about these animals, so every time I went for a health check, she told me, "Oh yes, today we had a call, and we couldn't do anything," or "Today somebody came with the animal and it was dying." And then I told her, I said, "As a volunteer of your organization, I want to get all the calls," because they couldn't take the calls because they were more focused on cats and dogs and not on wildlife. So I told her, I said, if it's an anteater or a sloth, because they're in the same super order of animals, I said, then pass it on to me. And so then it became a whole activity unto itself. Yeah, so now I'm at an enormous number of animals per year that are basically losing most of their habitat because of urbanization.
Yeah.
So 95% of the animals, or maybe even more than that, 98% of the animals are from the city and not from the forest, because a lot of people think, oh, there's deforestation in Suriname, so really bad, the animals losing their habitat. But it's mostly in the coastal zone of Suriname and mostly in the urban area. Basically, we're almost at 150 animals per year that we move, because I think that's the best way to describe it. It's like they're sort of wildlife refugees.
Yeah.
That need to get a new home. And so we release them mostly in Saramacca, which is a nicely, still reasonably forested district, where the forest is more or less similar to where they come from, because with these animals, and this is a very interesting point actually, they eat what they learn to eat in the first 2 weeks of their life, and that means that they're very local eaters. So that means that if you get an animal that is from the coastal zone where there's a typical swamp forest, then you cannot just move them to, for example, savanna forest, because you may not find the same type of trees there.
Yeah.
And they would be forced to start eating something else, which they probably wouldn't, and they would not survive. So it's really important that the forest in which you release them is more or less similar to where they came from. And so that's why Saramacca is really a good place, because this is mostly swamp forest. Where they come from is mostly swamp forest, because where Paramaribo is mostly a swamp forest area. And so we think they have a good chance of survival here. Yeah.
And do you release them then the same day? Say, if you pick them
No,
up?
it depends.
Depends.
We always check if they are fine, see if they eat, make sure they don't have any wounds or things, and then we let them go. And you can really see how their whole energy changes, because often if they are sitting in a kennel, they are like sitting like this because they are frustrated, they're afraid. But once you open the kennel for them, they completely, their whole energy changes and they're off. Tourists always want to come and see them, and we always tell them, well, the philosophy of this center is not to have the animals, but to release them. And so the only opportunity for you to see an animal is when we release an animal. And so we invite people to come and see a release. And for them it's often the most beautiful moment of their whole holiday in Suriname, when they can see, because many of them say they had not expected it to be so beautiful and emotional, and they completely then understand why these animals belong in the wild.